won't bring you joy until your back is against the wall. That won't make you shout until you have to cry one of these days. That won't bring you joy until you hit rock bottom. Amen. That won't give you joy until you hit rock bottom and you pray and nobody else is paying attention to you. Ishmael said, God hears. I'm comforted by knowing that I'm strengthened by that. I'm renewed by that. The fact that even though I don't see him, he sees me. Somebody ought to help me in here. They are out in this place. I want you to see in one or two things in this text, brothers and sisters, and I'm going to leave you. It was a time for Hagar. It was a time of harsh rejection. Hagar had nothing to do with this plan. But because she's a slave, and she does whatever her mistress tells her to do, she has no part in this plan. Other than Abraham comes in unto her and she gets pregnant. She can't refuse him. She can't run away from him because he is her master. She's a slave woman. She has absolutely nothing to do with this plan but caught up in a harsh rejection. And oftentimes the things that happen in our lives have nothing to do with us. And the things that go on in our lives are not for us, it's for God to demonstrate his power for somebody else. Hagar has nothing to do with what Abraham and Sarah devised, but we learn in the text that even though they messed up for her, God will take care of her. This passage, and I'm almost through in this passage, Isaac is about 3 and Ishmael is about 17, and they are celebrating as Isaac matures from a baby to a young boy, and things are going to come to a head because Hagar faces a terrible time of rejection, and she is so distressed, she is so out of it because Abraham sends her away with a little food and some water. That's it. That's all. A little food and a bag of water. And now Abraham sends her away because God tells them, watch this, to send her away. Listen to Sarah and send her away. My brothers and sisters, get this. If you don't get anything else in this message, get this. In chapter 21, Abraham has to give up Ishmael. And in chapter 22, he's going to have to give up Isaac. And if he can't give up Ishmael in chapter 21, he won't have the faith to give up Isaac in chapter 22 because everything God tells us to do is a pursuit for the next thing God tells us to do. And if you can't do the first thing God tells you to do, you won't be able to do the second thing God tells you to do. And many of us can't get the blessings of God right now because God told us to do something years ago and we haven't done it yet. Abraham had to give up Isaac and Ishmael in chapter 21, which made it easier for him to give up Isaac in chapter 22, because if God can take care of Ishmael, who's not the promise. Do I have any Bible readers in here? He certainly can take care of Isaac, who is the problem. Who is the promise. He gives up Ishmael not for him to die in the wilderness, but he gives up Ishmael into the sovereign, potential hands of God. And you will never lack an audience because there is a broken heart in every congregation. on every pew in this church, on every chair in this church this afternoon, there's someone who had their heart broken in every section of this church this afternoon. There's somebody here who knows about rejection, who knows pain, who knows to hope for something and that thing not come true. Do I have a witness in here? You hope to have children, but God never opened up your womb. But God sent some children who are just like your own children. And God will take care of you because he'll send somebody in your old age to take out for you, even though you don't have children of your own. Because sometimes your own children are not as nice to you as some other children. Sometimes, let me.
Go ahead, say so. Say it. Don't sugarcoat it.
Sometimes the folks you do the most for are the people who reject you. But somebody ought to help me testify that God will take care of you. He will keep you till your hair turns gray. He'll make a way out of nowhere. He will provide for you. And when you think you are just about to fall out, he'll be right underneath you with his everlasting arms to pick you up. Even when it looks like all you have left is harsh rejection. Harsh rejection. Harsh rejection.
Go ahead, talk to us.
I have no fame or fortune, but children who are disrespectful to the children, and mine are. Mine are. Yes, I'm talking. Listen, Pastor Johnson's children are off the chain. And I tell them all the time, I don't even know how to process that sometimes because, well, I was like that to my mama too, except for Sunday. Y'all catch that on the way home. What do you mean except for Sunday? I was a hellraiser Monday through Saturday. Huh? But on Sunday morning, I straightened up. Time to go to church. She ain't had no trouble out of me. She said one time, she said, I wish every day was Sunday. But when I was growing up as a boy, somebody came to our house, my grandmother and our parents made us speak. Say good evening or say good morning. We had these attributes that would come, these aunties that would come to our house. Everybody had them and gave us a quarter. And a quarter in y'all days went a long way. Quarter in y'all days went a long way. Back then in the 60s and 70s and 80s. For some of you, you could buy 5 moon cookies. Well, y'all see. And a red soda. 6 Mary Jane. And a 10 Longboards. That's what it was, right? All right. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Amen. You got to be over 50. To know what a Mary Jane is, right? But somebody gave us money. Our parents would say, what you say? The translation of that, you better say thank you.
All right. Hey.
Because I learned people don't have to do anything for you.
That's right.
It kept us out of jail. It kept us from stealing. It made us be respectful to our elders. And people will go out of their way to help you when you have a good disposition about yourself. Because you were raised right. And even right now, it's hard for me to get away from how I was raised. Hello, somebody. My mother beat me with a extension cord. And she here right now. Amen. Amen. I ain't gonna say nothing that I wouldn't tell her. I got my behind whooped. Hello. Anybody else got their behind whooped? Amen. Y'all sitting here quiet on me like y'all know what I'm talking about. Amen. I got my behind whooped. Hello, somebody.
Yeah. Got whipped with switches.
Hard for me right now to get away from how I don't know anything about children who talk back to their parents. Mind you, that's not the way I was raised. And some of y'all weren't raised that way either, because if you would have talked back, you wouldn't have had no teeth to even be talking. Right now, y'all, can I get a witness? I didn't know anything about children who got word for word with their mother, with their father. They raised us to be respectful.
That's right.
And if you just live right before people, even when rejection comes, even when trials come, God will give you the faith to hold on for a brighter day. And many of us in here this afternoon can testify that there were days when all you can do was just hold on.
All right, yes, Lord.
Didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I just had to have the faith. I just had to have faith enough to hold on. I didn't know. I didn't think I had strength to make it through another week. But God, some way, somehow, He showed up. Gave me the strength to just stand on my feet. And there's somebody in here this afternoon who's been going through a sickness, some trials in your family, some stress that almost about to break your heart. I got some good news for you this afternoon. When it looks like the bottom is about to fall out, He's the rock at the bottom. When it looks like all hell is about to break loose and you're not able to turn the corner, God will show up. Tell your neighbor, God will show up just in the nick of time and make a way out of no way. Harsh rejection. But then in verse 15 and 16, I'm trying to hurry, there is this hopeless reality in verse 15 and 16. She wept, but God heard the child. She cried. She lifted a voice, but God did not hear her. He heard the child because He knew what she was crying for. All right. And even when you can't get the words out, God knows what you are crying about. Yeah. Even when you can't put your pain in the words, God understands your groan. Do I have a witness in here? Ishmael is away off from his mother, and she is in pain. But God had already made a promise. God had already made her a promise, but when you're in pain, you can't always see the promise. That's right, because pain can disorient you. The answer, the situation is right by you. It's right close, but you can't see it because you're in pain. Yeah. You've been rejected by folks who were supposed to love you. You've been pushed away. You've been pushed around by people who's supposed to be on your side. Yeah. You've been talked about by folks you've helped. You've been good God Almighty, you've been criticized by even.
Preach, Pastor. Yeah, you talking right.
They are painful. That's hurtful. That's heartbreaking. Life sends pain and sickness. And you have to deal with it. Your faith will not make it go away. Because God will not always remove the problem. He'll just change you in the midst of it. I wish I had somebody here who's been through some seasons of distress in your life, and you are a stronger Christian now because you went through some stuff. You are you have a bigger prayer life now, because if you hadn't ever been through the struggles that you've been through, you wouldn't be able to call on a God the way you call on God. God did not move the situation. He made you stronger in the midst of it. Lord, you don't have to move the mountain. Just give me the strength to climb. Lord, you don't have to take away my stumbling block, but just lead me. And I thank God for the mountains. I thank God for the valleys. I thank God for the storms that he brought me through, because if I never had a problem, I never know that God could solve it. Can I go a little further through it all? Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in his word. I have been hard rejected. I've been rejected. I've been rejected. I've been through the storm. I've had my heart broken. I've had to cry in the midnight hour. I've called on the Lord. And I didn't get an answer. That's a harsh rejection. That's a hopeless reality. But the Bible said she cried. But God heard the child. If the Lord is going to develop you in the image of Christ, which is why he saved you in the first place, he will do so through the events of your life. He will send exactly what it is going to take to transform you into the person he saved you to be. If it's a operation, he's going in that. If it's a heart problem, he's going to send that. If you need a transplant, he's going to send that. If it's a child of a that broke your heart, he'll soften it up. He's going to send that. If sickness is going to tear you down to totally depend on God, he's going to send that. Because you didn't think you could serve God with the kind of illness you have. But remember, God's grace is sufficient. Do I have a witness? Because your strength, my strength, can only be perfect when we are weak. This harsh rejection, which is into a hopeless reality, comes out to a triumph in some hidden resources. Because the scripture says God opened her eyes. I said to you a moment ago, pain can make you forget about the promise. Trouble can make you think that God has walked off and left you. Situations will arise in your life that makes it look like God is not on your side. But I want you to know this afternoon, brothers and sisters, if you give him a chance, God will open up your eyes. I wish I had somebody here as I go to my seat whose eyes are open to see that in the midst of a harsh rejection, in the midst of a hopeless reality, there is some hidden resources. God opened her eyes and she saw not just a bag of water that Abraham gave her to leave with, but she saw a well of water. Because God got more than just a bag. God got a well. And I need somebody here who needs something from the Lord this afternoon. I'm not talking about you have who are self-sufficient and self-assured in your own resources. I'm talking about some of us who need something from the Lord that money can't buy. We need something from the Lord that no amount of resources that we have in our hands will be able to supply. I need something from the Lord right now that I can't get unless God delivers it. I need mercy right now, and I don't have enough money to buy that. I need grace right now, and I don't have enough money to buy that. I need God to interfere. I need God to wake me up in the morning. And I don't care what college you went to, what degrees are behind your name. You can't wake yourself up in the morning. God is going to have to do that. Do I have a witness? And I need somebody to walk with me through the valley of the shadow of death. And I know somebody who's able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that I can ask or think. You got to face some situations in a couple of days. But God will stand right by your side and make a way out of no way. You got some mess in your family right now. But God knows how to straighten up whatever is crooked in your situation. Is there anybody here who knows harsh rejection? Is there anybody here who knows some hopeless realities? But is there anybody here that knows that God got some hidden resources? He'll make a way out of no way. He'll show up in the dark times in your life. He is the Lord, made a way for you, and you're not ashamed to testify. If the Lord had been good to you, and you don't care who's looking at you, why don't you grab somebody? Why don't you shake somebody? Why don't you shake somebody's hand and tell them I had some harsh rejection? I've had some hopeless reality. Come on, preach it like I'm preaching it. I had some harsh rejection. I've had some hopeless reality. But thank God I've had some hidden resources. He will show up. He will turn it around. He will open a door. He will heal your body. He will dry your tears. He will save your soul. He will. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? He will fight your battle. He will be a bridge over troubled water. He will be a doctor in the sick room. He will be a lawyer in the courtroom. I feel all right now. I wasn't able to preach on this morning, but I thank God for my strength because y'all don't know. I went to the hospital on yesterday, but I thank God He'll heal your body. Is there anybody here know that God will make a way? How do you know? One Friday, how do you know? One Friday, they hung him high. One Friday, they nailed his hands to an old rugged cross. One Friday, they nailed his feet to an old rugged cross. Do I have a witness? Yes, they whipped him all night long. Blood comes streaming down. Put him in a borrowed room. He stayed there Friday night. He stayed there Saturday and Saturday night. But look at your neighbor. It's a neighbor. Oh, neighbor. Oh, neighbor. Early. Good God Almighty. Early. Sunday morning. He got up. He got up. With all power in his hand. He got up with all power in his hand. Do I have a witness? You might have to cry, but just hold on. You might have to look back and wonder how you got over, but just hold on. It might look dark, but he come, he'll turn it around. Do I have a witness? He'll turn it around. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, God is a good God. Look at you. I know we crowded up in here, but look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, God is a good God. I know my mothers are looking at me because they got to get home before dark, but won't you look at your neighbor and say neighbor, if it had not been for the Lord that was on my side, where would I be? Where would I be? I want to know, is there anybody in here that been sick? Is there anybody here that been sick? But God healed your body. Now, anybody in here that had COVID? But God made a way. Hello, somebody. God made a way. Can I get a witness in here? Y'all looking at me strange. But look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I don't look like what I've been through. But then after all I've been through, I still got my joy. Come on, that was the wrong neighbor. Look at your other neighbor and say, neighbor,